Everyone, welcome back. Today is going to be episode 9. We are going to be discussing some spiritual messages that have come through for me to relay to all of you for the month of September of 2021. It is very clear that the noise is getting louder and louder out there in regards to obstacles that we're navigating, not only in the United States, but also all over the globe. It has been a very difficult last 2 weeks for me. I know that in my life there have been many difficulties that I'm navigating in regards to a complete split in people's opinions. It's either this or that. And what I'm talking about in regards to that is really just people are taking a very radical approach based on fear. That is the obstacle that we're navigating at this time. I think that this fear can be very overwhelming. It can make us want to not speak up. It can make us not want to be in a position where we at least come out and say how we feel. And that is the biggest obstacle that we're navigating at this time. It is literally a threat to our vitality, the fear that we're experiencing, because there's two consciousness that is going on right now. One that derives all of its decisions from fear, and then the other side of consciousness is to navigate from a place of courage and really true bravery and speaking up. And I want to talk about these two consciousnesses right here. So where are we at with the collective right now? Where are we all collectively? What are the energies that we're navigating? Well, it is our life source that we're navigating right now. It is straight up survival mode that we're in, majority of us. Some of us don't even know that we're in survival mode. I think that some people just want to kind of put their blinders on and pretend that certain things aren't happening globally. And I think that even they have a hard time, because we are just sort of in this space right now where the noise is becoming so loud. It is almost impossible to not notice that things are upside down. You know, anything that makes common sense, everything that has like a logic behind it, anything that is within the universal laws, meaning derivative from love, then take that and turn it upside down. And that's what we're witnessing, that kind of narrative that is being pushed over and over and over and over again into our face. And so there are many players, I think, in this, where what's happening in the collective is we are in this phase right now where we have to overcome these obstacles. And it is really important that we pay attention to what is happening right now, because it's literally like day and night. That is kind of the energy that we're navigating. And I'll tell you what, like for me, the last 2 weeks have been really difficult, because there is almost like a point in my conversations with some people in my life where the conversations are not going anywhere, because there is no space or no room. Because the moment you start to engage in a conversation where there is room for both sides to express their opinions, it's almost like one side has to shut down. And it's usually almost the person that is most fearful to have the conversation, to consider some new perspective. That's what we're navigating. It's literally day and night. So people are in this place where they're either going to buy into this fear that we cannot live our lives from a place of empowerment, that we can be healthy individuals, that we can make, sovereign decisions for ourselves, that we can really be in a place where we can honor and give ourselves some time and space to process certain things and figure really out where our heart is at, and then create a space and hold space for each other. That's sort of out the door. I mean, that energetically is out the door. And we see that because there is this transit right now that we're navigating. And that is specifically for me, what I'm seeing is Saturn in Aquarius. The way that Saturn in Aquarius is going to be moving all throughout the rest of this year, it really has to do with us as humanity taking responsibility for how we're contributing and what it is that we're contributing. So we're either going to do it and we're going to take responsibility for it, and we're going to really just do our job by communicating where we're being irresponsible or we're not going to do it. And when we're not doing it, the Saturn backlash it's harsh. It's harsh and it is very overwhelming. I think that's the word that I want to use. Okay. So right now, this is where we're at. What's expanding over the course of September is more division. That's what I'm seeing. It's not that I'm saying this so that you can have more fear, but this is the obstacle that we have to expand on right now. We have to look the obstacles in the eye and go, does this make any sense? Is this the plan? Questioning the plan, questioning the motives, questioning the communication that is coming up. What are we being told? And a lot of this will also come from people who are claiming to be in authority, people who are claiming to know what's best for you and I. These are people in the government. These are people in positions that are making decisions for larger groups of people. So a lot of this questioning is going to continue to increase. You're going to start to see more and more people that will start to speak up, that will start to say, is this really what we're doing? Are we really going to limit our lives? Are we really going to put restrictions on the way in which we're going to live? Does this make any sense? Where is the data? Where is the proof? And this process right here is going to unfold over the course of September. So there's going to be arguments, there's going to be disputes. There is also going to be a time where people internally will start to make a decision to become more brave. People who are fighting for love, people who are fighting for freedom, people who are fighting for us to live a life where we can coexist, where we don't have to say, you either have to be this kind of a human or there's no space for you. You either have to be this kind of a human or there's no space for you. Because if you're really paying attention right now, one of the largest ways in which we're getting impacted is via all the social media platforms. We're just constantly being fed types of identities, Chiron and Aries, types of identities that are acceptable, that are neither here nor there, because it's really just saying like there's 4 kinds that are acceptable. There's 3 kinds that are acceptable. And if you don't fit into this kind, if you don't have this kind of an opinion, then you are what? You're not worthy of being part of this society. This is the kind of noise that is going to start to become a lot louder. It's going to start to become a little bit more expand over the course of September. So there's going to be a lot of conversations. You can expect these conversations to come up. We're sort of diving into a big conversation piece here. The next thing that I'm seeing is that one of the ways in which we are going to emotionally reflect and introspect, whether that is out loud, whether that is within ourselves, is everything that we have questioned, everything we didn't know the answer for, expect to know the answer now. Okay? Expect to know that we are somewhere in our lives at a point where we realize that we have really deviated from the path. Like we are not on the path anymore. The path that is embracing each other, the path that is empowering each other, the path that is really uplifting each other. That path, we're off that path now. We're on some other path and we have to return back home emotionally. That is like the big picture that I'm seeing emotionally that we're navigating. A lot of this will also have to do with a very particular past incident that will come back up. And this will have to do with a foundational need. It will have to do with our survival. It will have to do with our stability. It will have to do with a foundational need that everybody has. So think for yourself, what could that be, right? For you personally and then also collectively, there is going to be impacts that are going to be made here on our survival and on our stability, as far as just levels of how low someone can go. I think we're going to start the beginning stages to witness those things in the news. I think that what we're also at the same time going to realize is that some parts of us are so far away from home that we can't even describe this feeling. It's sort of like a feeling of disappointment. I don't think necessarily that fear will be the driving factor for whatever this is that is going to come out. I think the driving factor is going to be maybe disgust or a level of disappointment. And that necessary emotion will actually begin to open up a lot more people to the fact that we are in some kind of place on our path in humanity that absolutely makes no sense. You're going to see a lot of people speak up about whether this makes sense or not, questioning. The noise is going to get louder. The noise is going to get louder because it goes against our very own sovereignty. It goes up against our, universal laws, the ones that we know of so far, the ones that we all agreed upon. There are going to be people that will come up that will really speak from a very powerful and impactful way. I think that we're going to start to notice that a lot more people, and the ones that we thought would never speak up, will start to speak up now. I think that we're going to see that because ultimately, whatever this agenda is that is being rolled out all across the board in the world, which I do believe that that is happening, I think that we are going to see that they're actually not it's not as powerful as we thought, but it's definitely as evil as we thought. I think that is something that we're going to be experiencing, and we're going to be witnessing this and introspectively processing via how the moon is going to transit this month, definitely on a deep level. I think we're going to see it. We're going to see that for the first time that the Pandora's box it's open. We're diving in. We're seeing now that pieces of information start to come up that absolutely it makes zero sense. And it will have to do with survival. It will have to do with survival. It will have to do with just a stability that will be an instability that will be presented, and we're gonna question that as a collective. That's what I'm seeing as well. So this is going to be really, really important, I think, that we allow for this to unfold, because part of what my experience is so far in all of the stuff that I've experienced over the last many, many years, whether it was reading tarot, reading, astrology charts, just in general teaching yoga, training people to become yoga teachers. One of the ways that we as humans make the biggest change is to see the truth within the stuff that we don't want to sometimes see, the stuff that we're turning our backs on, the stuff that we don't want to deal with. As far as it doesn't impact us, then we don't really have to deal with it. But then there is a moment where it starts to impact us, right? It starts to impact some kind of survival of our love or relationship or our health, or the survival of a very primal need that we have. When we start to see that those impacts are threatened, those themes are threatened, we start to see that we have to do something about it. We want to do something about it. We want to change it. And I think that this month is sort of the transition into that kind of a change for some people. I'm not saying everybody is on the same page, but what I'm saying is that there are still some people that are questioning or not quite knowing what the answers are. And if they were on the fence, they will not be on the fence anymore with this specific event that is going to be unfolding. And it will be a global event. That's what I'm seeing here. Now, the other thing that has come up for me here is that a lot of us are trying to figure out what the next steps are, where we're at. And over the course of September, we are going to be taking a look at this. We're trying to figure out what our next steps are. A lot of us are, we're trying to make changes. Some of it has to do with resources. Some of it has to do with the place that we're living. Some of it will have to do with a change of career or trying to become more multifunctional in some kind of a way where we're doing more than just one thing. And I think that over the course of Virgo season in particular, and then moving into Libra season, we're going to start to see that there is steps that we can take towards it. The most important part in Virgo season or over the course of September is to realize that it doesn't all have to get accomplished right now. We're all part of this bigger timeline. It doesn't have to be accomplished right now. What's important is to continuously hold the vision for what it is that you're trying to create in your life. Hold the vision, keep moving towards it, because everything you need is within you. Even on the tough days, even on the days when you feel like you don't have anything within you, if you wanted to check off 5 things on your list, try to get to 1 and it will move you forward. And then if you need to rest, need to rest the rest of that day, then that's what you need to do. And I think we're starting to kind of break out of these cycles where we're in these habits, where we push ourselves all the way to the point where it is making us sick, or it's making us feel so defeated we can't do anything. We're like paralyzed. I hope that this makes sense. What I'm trying to say is that we're really opening up to a new way to operate our life and to manage ourselves differently. And sometimes that means that we have to become a little bit more fierce in regards to what our needs are and what we need to connect to. And I think that over the course of September, we're going to see that, because Virgo season in particular is very relentless about showing you and making you kind of notice the things you had not noticed before. That's sort of the power of Virgo. I'm speaking from experience. So I'm just letting you know that right now, wherever you're at, try to do 1 thing instead of 5. Try to, make it more realistic in what it is that you're trying to attain, and it will go a long way. Slow and steady wins the race. That is what the motto needs to be for September of 2021. The next thing I want to bring up is that I am really seeing, as far as what I'm being communicated through my meditation here, that the month of September is going to be a month where we have to really discern what it is that we're saying. And what we're saying has to have one very particular thing in mind. It has to have in mind what it is that we really not want to give up. What is it you don't want to give up? Okay? And what is it that is a fundamental need that you have that allows for you to set a solid foundation in life to operate? So this can be things in your life that are resources. It can also be something that you need in forms of like your relationship needs. So it could be on an emotional level as well. So we have to discern how we're communicating that. And the reason for that is because we can't deviate from our very own essence. We can't deviate from what's true in our own heart. And I think there could be this tendency here to try to still operate from an autopilot. You're going to notice that. It's going to speak very loudly at you. If you're operating from autopilot, you will know that you are going up against your very own rules and the fundamental needs. Why is that? Because if you go up against what it is that you need, the consequence will be that the choices you're making right now will impact the long term, and it will impact the fact that it will be harder to make changes in the long term. And you'll be able to see that this month. Like, it will be a very big red flag that will go up. And so do what you need to do in order to feel supported, to get your point across, to communicate, but not attacking anybody. You see, the thing is that right now, the way that Mercury is going to move all throughout September, it's going to be super important to discern how you're moving, how you're communicating, how you are getting your point across, and to find new ways to connect with people on a new emotional level, because the old ways don't work. The old ways right now, we're seeing that they don't work because everyone's mind with the North Node in Gemini is out in the open. How we think, how we don't think, how we view things, all of this is out in the open. And in order for us to find a middle ground, we have to emotionally connect to things and people in a new way. And this requires also a set of skills of communicating in a way that makes sense, in a way that allows for the other person to respond. So one of the ways that we could navigate this is that, what is the outcome you're looking for? right? For yourself, not necessarily trying to change another person, but what's the outcome you're looking for? And you can speak from that place. What is that place? Well, if you're looking to be someone that is able to communicate X, Y, Z to your partner, then, say that. Say that you are wanting more of alone time. You're wanting more of a time with your partner. You're wanting more of time with your children. You're wanting to be able to voice your opinion and question why the other person wouldn't be open to that. So asking a lot of questions and being in inquiry is going to go a long way in Virgo season. Is going to open up the doors for us to let go of our need to constantly defend. The need to defend, okay, it doesn't allow for us to have a starting point with people. This is the biggest hiccup and the biggest obstacle right now in the collective. People are going at each other. They're not approaching each other from a place where they're wanting to hold a discussion. And it's okay to have hard conversations. It's okay to have conversations that are not comfortable. Because when we have conversations that are not comfortable right now, we're able to really connect to the dead ends in our life, the things that are a vicious cycle, and on top of it, everything else that we're dealing with, right? The limitations that are being put upon us. Those limitations are very overbearing, and then they kind of, tie somehow into our personal lives, and then one person tries to overpower the next. And so our communication skills this month are going to be very much under test. And I think that the biggest key here is to let go of your ego and just communicate from your emotional world, what things are like for you. And then being an inquiry of what there is to do about it. Because sometimes the best thing that we can do is to not say that everybody has the answer, but to say that I don't know what to do about it. What I do know is that I have this reoccurring feeling, and that inquiry sometimes really allows for us to get in touch with the answer. It may not be right then in that moment, but it may be at another time. And so just have faith that things can work out if you have the courage to approach from a different emotional angle. So pause and understand what your needs are and try to come from that as best as possible. It will go a long way. The next thing I want to kind of dive into, what I'm also seeing for the collective over September, is that a lot of us are holding on to a concept. This concept has to do with things that are, they're just like not real. The concept that we are sort of all one right now, the concept that we are all just kind of getting along, or that this time is going to pass, that somebody else is going to, deal with this. It's just not the case. We are the ones. We are the ones all individually that have to do the work to bring each other together as best as possible. And this requires for us to manage ourselves differently, to manage our time differently, to manage the way in which we're living differently, our resources differently. There's sort of this idea that, it's going to happen somewhere in the future, that someone else is going to speak up, somebody else is going to do the work, and it just isn't the case. The danger here is that we're just sort of, again, we have the blindfolds on. Maybe we don't want to look. We don't want to question. If you take a risk this month in the collective, as an individual, in your participation of it, to speak from a place where you just question your very own kind of ideas and concepts, or your very own, if somebody says something and you are sort of in this place where you're wanting to look away, the risk is the brave thing to do, and the risk, and the good risk to take, is to hold space for that person. So whatever it is that comes up that you usually don't want to deal with, this is the month to deal with it. Because Virgo season will support you to bring and prepare all the necessary tools that you need in order to navigate this time. Because the times ahead, we still have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn about finances. We have a lot to learn about our resources. We have a lot to learn about self-worth. And these are some of the predominant themes we're going to be taking a look at over the course of 2022. So one of the things I think that we are in this place in right now, that I think that we're being asked to master, all of us, is to understand how we are engaging in concepts that are not playing out in reality. You know, the concepts that have large impacts, the ideas that we have that are not being played out in realities. Because when you shut, for example, your social media off and you start to live your life in reality, what does it look like? It's different from the social media platform. For a majority of us, this is true. So this is going to be a time where we can create immense breakthroughs to understand where we have emotionally engaged in concepts that created the idea of peace, created the idea that we're free, created the idea that we are somehow engaging in this world that is all about love, when in reality, it's not. It requires more effort. It requires effort from us to change who we are more so, to challenge ourselves, to challenge our motives, to challenge our concepts, our ideas, where we're coming from. And so there is this space this month for us to do reflective work in regards to our beliefs, in regards to the things in our life that we're attached to. Attachments will play a huge role. And what you'll find is actually that the things you're attached to are not the things that actually create a loving experience in your life. Majority of the time, attachment creates misery. It's not always the truth for everything in your life, okay? But right now, there might be things that you're addicted to, ideas you're addicted to, concepts you're addicted to, that will not allow for you to feel free, that will not allow for you to just explore your emotions the way that you need to, that kind of just limit you, hold you closed in. And so this is going to be a really good time to break through and to start that work right now. And the way that you can break through is to, do things, for example, where every day you start to notice a pattern of something that you're doing, that you're engaging in ideas and concepts. So it could be on social media, it could be in your life with certain groups of people, it could be something that you're constantly reading, eating, some kind of pattern, because Virgo will deal also with patterns that don't allow for you to be open, don't allow for you to be really what you're envisioning for your life. So this will be a clue for you to spend some time to figure out, is there something in your life that is creating that kind of a feeling that Virgo season will help kind of have a breakthrough in, okay? Now, I think there's a couple of other things that we can expect during the end of September. And it has a lot to do with us on what we want to become. What do we want to make real in our lives? And what does it require? What kind of action does it require? Does it require a new skill set? Does it require for us to move? A lot of you, I feel like, will be, at the end of September, will be in a place where you're wanting to start something new and the potential will present itself. It will be much better than what you envisioned, okay? It will be a new territory of some sort or some new skill set to learn. And if that is you and it speaks to you, then this is a time to start to create a new vision in that area of your life, to drop a new plan, to connect to the things that will allow for you to have everything you need in order to get up and get going, okay? Because the time right now is very intense, and if you don't do it now, you might regret it later. And that's what it is. It'll be a very, very potent energy that will speak to you. Now, for a lot of you, if you've been looking for a particular answer in regards to health, in regards to your life in general, the daily kind of living where you have been in a place something isn't working, if you've been looking for the answer, the end of Virgo season, the last 10 days of Virgo season, okay, they will show you the remedies you need. They will show you the answers that you've been looking for. They will really come through. Some of them will come through some spiritual messages. It will be either in dreams or it will be through symbolism in your day. Some of it will be that you are having a conversation with someone, they mention something, and it sparks something within you in your heart space, and you will know you have to go explore more of whatever they are sharing with you. So those are the things that I'm seeing at the end of the month. Overall, I think that we are in a place where we're really taking a look at who we are as a collective and what we need to protect. Protection is a huge ordeal right now. We're looking at protection. We're looking at what it is within us that we have to preserve. Because if we don't, then, will somebody take it away? I mean, that's what we're looking at right now in the collective. So we have to learn how to independently think. And I think that this September 2021, is bringing all of us collectively even more so to a place where, we have to independently think. We have to question everything that's going on right now. That our lifestyle has to be a particular way. It doesn't. The freedom is ours. The freedom is ours to choose right now. And it's now. Because if not now, then when? That is what the inquiry will be of September. If not now, then when? Somebody has to step in. Somebody has to do something, and it could be either majority of us, or we will forever just wait and see for someone to be the savior. That's not what's going to happen here. Saturn in Aquarius is for all of us to step into a new learning, and it is about us reorganizing how we are viewing each other, how we're treating each other. This is something that we are being asked to master. And it might be a little messy, but when we come from a place where it is coming from our heart, it can be navigated easier. It can be navigated easier when we hold the space for someone else to have a different opinion. And when we hold the space for someone to express that different opinion, innately what we will see is that we have a common denominator, and that is that we want to coexist. I do not believe that majority of us, even if we engage in the fear and in the anger, that we are going to be in a place where we truly believe that, we don't want to make it work for each other. We do want to make it work for each other. But I think it is the fear that gets in the way. The inquiry is that if we don't have the courage, when will we? That is what I'm seeing here for September 2021. I hope that this spiritual message helped you. I will be back with more astrology and some of the specific planets and how they will be transiting and what I'm seeing for that. Until then, have a very blessed time. Thank you so much for tuning in. For more of my work, you can always visit upriseastrology.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Uprising Astrology Podcast. Again, thank you for tuning in and have a very blessed day.